RFL106 and Park. Now I've got a big breaking news for you guys. Against what the council said, really against what Cody said, we're going to merge all of our shows anyways. Wow. So today I'd like to welcome you, the official host of the RFL Radio, Honor Guard 1. And today we also have a special guest, Dark. So you guys can introduce yourselves, say hi, whatever you got to do.
Me and Dark are a team, so I don't ever do anything without Dark.
That's cute.
Is that the case?
Yeah, Dark and I are the commentators. So
pretty much let me break down what's going on. I know there's probably a lot of confusion. I know it's been leaked in the chat box already that me and Honor are going to be doing this together. We pretty much came to the decision that because there's 3 networks right now, there's the radio, there's what Nick Narnia's got going on, there's Azu's 106 and Park. There's really no need for there to be 3 networks broadcasting the same recaps, the same analysis, etc. So pending Nick's decision, maybe Nick will join the team in the future. Who knows?
Join us.
We're all here together as one big family in the RFL Network. The name Azu's 106 and Park is now pending. Everything is pending. That's what we should name the show. Pending right there. That's my suggestion.
Make it simple. Mark and I cannot produce a video for our lives.
That's okay. It's cute. It has a home feel.
So we can use the help. All right. So should we start getting? Let's start getting into this.
Yep.
Let's start with the scores from last week. Yeah, Vara Kataras. The score was 82-84. Vara took their 3rd straight loss. We've got Lieta at Arandar. I want to call him Aragon every time I see their name.
Yeah, I know, same.
It's 94-62 in favor of Lieta. Huge blowout game. And then you have Narda at Remington. Another loss for, well, not really another loss, just another unexpected performance coming from Narda at 64-76 in favor of Remington. What are your thoughts about the last week's games?
Starting with the Varak Tires game, well, there's a lot of momentum coming into this week with a lot of hype for all 3 games. And I think that 2 out of the 3 games were really good, and then there's the blowout with the Letty game. Starting with the Varak Tires game, I thought it was a great game, even though I wasn't there. Coming back from 22 points and a half in the second half must have been a thriller, and it came down to the last play. You can clearly see Varak coming into the same problems, lack of defense, and Caleb is still carrying the team as usual. And I think a little bit more important thing that we came out of this game is that no lag defense for Tyrus is a struggle, and that could prove to be their Achilles heel when they're trying to make their UB run or their playoff run. And Diesel had his first game back, even though it wasn't really that much of a retirement. Yeah. Nice to see Diesel Truck making his return.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Dark, did you personally witness the Lieta Aragon game?
Yes, seeing as I played in it, yeah, but the game I was really impressed by is the Barak game. I ref that. I felt so bad because, oh man, you guys freaking 3 seconds left on the clock. You get that tackle, and then they call the timeout immediately. And, I mean, you guys thought it was over, and then I'm like, oh, 3 seconds, so I had to be that guy.
Yeah, that shit was, excuse my French, pretty devastating. Yeah. I think,
oh, well, you know.
At the end of the day, you know, those are the games that you live for. And I think, you know, when I look at the score of the Lieta game, I think that if we could get more games like Varak and Tyrus going, that would be more beneficial to the league than these blowouts that we see going now, especially with the issue of stacking teams that's been growing.
Right.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people were arguing that Tires is going to be too stacked, and then you see this game, and you can't say they're as stacked as you thought they were.
And you can't even say that, you know, what's it called? Chav's team is as stacked as it is anymore, because clearly, that's what we'll get into later. You know, their game this week.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of Shav's team, what's going on in Narda? I know they finished really strong last season. They didn't get the UB in the end, but anyone that would contest that Narda wasn't either a number 1 or number 2 power team going into the season right now is full of themselves. Why do you think we're seeing such a downhill play as far as Narda's season is going?
To start off, the first thing that you see is that their number 3/4 player is nearly as good as what it was last season. I think that's a big deal with John and Tiger. Also, you're seeing that people are understanding the problems of Narda, aka their terrible run defense, and also chucks spaghettis much more than you think he does. And that if you were to pick on Chuck a lot, it's actually kind of successful. And that, in addition with the familiarity factor of Shav's running, has really decreased how good they were.
Yeah, they're not showing up as as much as they used to. Big stat that you really needed to take away from this game is before he got ejected, Luke was the leading tackler for the first half, and that is not someone who you want to be your leading tackler.
Exactly.
Especially, Gaz did not show up at all on defense until I guess maybe halfway through the second half. So they really, if they're gonna play with a weak third man, they've got to have consistent, strong performances from both of them, and they did not have that yesterday. And that's why they lost.
And just to add one more thing, Shav's defensive game has regressed an insane amount this season. I have no idea why. I think his defensive ending is terrible. Really not that effective. He needs to really pick up his defensive game if Narda wants to win more games.
Well, the thing about setting the bar really high, like they did in season 12, season 11, when you set the bar really high for yourself, all you can expect to have is below average games. When you, I'm a big fan of street racing, and a lot of times what you'll see is guys, they'll slow down before they hit the finish line, and that's so your opponents can't guesstimate how good you really are. When I look at Narda, I think Narda really pushed last season to have huge blowout games as much as they could. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then when they score under the average score that they had last season, it makes them look like a weaker team in general. I don't think that they're any better. They are a little worse, I would say, than they were last season, but I think definitely because they set the bar so high for themselves, it's going to be really hard to match the performance that they gave last season.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Lieta, and can somebody tell me the official name of this team?
Lieta Arandar.
Arandar. Okay, Lieta Arandar. Looks like it's about a 30-point game. What happened over there?
Close first half, because I have no idea why. Because Perron wasn't there, first of all. And yes, I know, Perron wasn't there, so you had a defense of Byrne, Tilt played really rusty that game.
Third man was Dark Liam.
And then you had
Jimmy.
And Dark, Dark wasn't really playing defense, and what you saw was a much more leaky defense compared to what their lineup was second half. And also Winshire, his quarterback, and for some reason Winshire was really effective, and then when Nick entered as quarterback, Nick was not effective at all.
Yeah.
And those two factors really changed the game.
The other big point is they didn't have anyone who could trade defend. In the whole first half, Tilton, Byrne both had ridiculous lag, and they were playing man coverage. So, it was almost impossible not to score. So, the big thing that teams that are not the big three powerhouses have to do is they've got to really strap down that trade defense if they want to stay in game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So, moving on to our hot and cold list. For the three top players that we have for this week, we have Pitbull coming in at, is he number 3 or number 1? I might have mixed up the list.
All right, I'll tell you. Number 3, Caleb, because even though he played great, he couldn't win the game. So, number 3, Caleb is continuing to carry Barak, which is still unbelievable that Caleb is actually carrying a team at this point. Dark would agree with me here.
Yeah.
Number 2, we got Dark. Dark had a very solid offensive game. Led the powerhouse offense to absolutely great Arandar. So good for you, Dark. And obviously, number 1, Pitbull, for a few things. First, for training Remington. Them 1,000 times better compared to the first 2 weeks. Mad props to you, Pitbull. And secondly, Pitbull with a bunch of big tackles, bunch of big runs, a bunch of big everything. Pitbull has been shockingly good this season compared to his past seasons, and I do give him a lot of credit for that.
Now, moving on to our cold list, we have Shavray the Magnificent. We have
number 3. I'll start with
Malakai. And then you got Nick Narnia. Go ahead and break that down for us.
Number 3, Azu. Dark could elaborate.
I was really disappointed in you, sir. That was the worst performance I've ever seen you play, man. The spaghetti, let's just off the charts. But I think clearly, I mean, after a game like that, you can only go up. So I think you won't repeat that. Hopefully.
Ace, do you have anything to say?
It's really hard to commentate on yourself as far as performance-wise.
Yeah.
You look at the game and you're like, you're gonna have mistakes that you'll recognize. It's I'm a singer, and one thing that you'll learn is that you are your own biggest critic. There's gonna be a lot of little things that you'll notice as a flaw. Even you guys playing in the RFL, you'll have little things that you're like, damn, I wish I didn't do that no one else will even see. And then you've got the big things that you think are like the highlights of your game that aren't important enough to other people. As far as analyzing yourself goes, I would say that our defense is a huge thing. There's a lot of little things on defense that would make big turnovers for us. I know there was a few touchdowns, extra points that could have been reversed if you had just capitalized on, as far as getting on the inks instead of going for the Ds. I think Varrock overall, it's funny because I was looking at the stats, and Varrock is scoring pretty high. You look at the score, 82-84. That's the second highest scoring game next to the Yetta. They definitely got the offense on point. The defense is what wins the championships, unfortunately, and that's where I see me, James, and Caleb, and hopefully KFC if he ever makes his return.
KFC should be making his return soon, and I hear Lancer is going to be making his first appearance for Varrock this week.
Yeah, provided engrossment 3 in the account.
That'll be interesting.
We've got 2 people we need to cover on the cold list. We've got Chavray and Nick Narnia.
Number 2,
we did talk about Nick Narnia a little bit already.
Nick Narnia, because when he came in, his team got outscored by over 30 points, and whenever that happens, and you're the quarterback, you're blamed for it, and Knack, that was a terrible game. That sucks.
He pulled my favorite play was he pulled a Viva La Pitbull last season. He took this run to the corner of the end zone and forced down in the goal line, and literally Barone stood still in the edge of the thing, and he ran straight into him, and it was just really cringeworthy. But, I mean, it's kind of weird going from like the hot list to the cold list 1 week later, but I mean,
that played so bad. He had to switch because that was pretty shitty.
The last guy saved the best.
Obviously, number 1, our favorite, all of our Dark's favorite person in the RFL.
Got Chavray.
Mr. Chavray. Dark has a little nice little Chavray thing.
Chavray hat.
Now, you know what? Looking at the list, I will say that I don't expect Chavray to hit the cold list too many times this season. So if there is a benefit to being on the cold list, it's that it's out of your system now. You've got that performance where you're like, damn, I did bad. Let's step it up next week. I don't expect to see Shav on this list at all for the rest of the season. That remains to be seen. But Chavray's not the player that usually lands on this list. He's been pretty solid in his performance. He's consistent. That's one thing that makes a huge impact in the RFL, your consistency. And I don't think Chavray will stay here for very long. What are your thoughts on her?
One quick stat, he had 15 rush attempts against Giggs Nigga Crew, only 4 rush TDs. That stat alone would say how pissed.
Well, you know what's funny? I think this is gonna open a lot of eyes in the RFL this season. We have the advanced statistics. I think that's courtesy of Windshire for suggesting it. A lot of players take pride in their quarterback passes, their quarterback rushes. And before this season, it was never taken into account how many attempts did they have to get those stats. Overall TDs is something that everybody praises in the RFL, and I think it's gonna get shadowed down a bit. If you put up 60, 70 touchdowns, but you have like 400 attempts, then that's gonna make a big difference on how people see you in the RFL. And like I said, it's going to be a wake-up call. It's not going to be about how many touchdowns you can score. It's going to be about your percentage now, your consistency, which I think it should have been from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm enjoying these offensive efficiency stats.
Yeah.
I think the only ones that really matter, though, are passes, attempt, pass complete, and rush attempt. Catches really don't matter so much, and they're too hard to follow. But those 3 efficiency stats are going to be really big.
Yep. Now, moving on to 3 off-topic things. They really don't have to pertain to the game, but they're going to make a significant impact in the RFL. The first thing I wanted to talk about was Windshire's public apology to his teammates for losing his membership midway through the game. Now, I always wanted to test this. I'm glad this happened because I always wanted to know what happens when you're logged into RuneScape the last day of your membership, do you lose membership immediately, or is it when you log out? I wanted to test it and stay logged into RuneScape when I run out of membership and see if I can stay a member after it expires. So thank you, Windshire, to you for testing this experiment for me.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, and everybody thought I was playing on Windshire.
Yeah, I gotta say thank you, Honor Guard 1, for your criminal activity in the past.
That he made one really good tackle, and then everybody flipped the shit.
Yeah, no, we got one tackle and I was like, there's no way. It's because he started implying and stuff, and that's not Windshire, like,
Really?
personality.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh god, this must be Honor. And because you've been a scumbag in the past and have multiple different accounts,
Yeah.
it was kind of implied.
Mr. Ditwe on the chat box, and we had a very nice conversation.
The greatest
one thing
part
I
about it
wanted
was
to say,
and so I get a message from Boone452, and it's Honor, and he goes, he's on my account, it's not me, and I'm like, how the hell are you on Boone452 thinking he hacked another account? And he goes, oh no, I made this for him. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Well, you know what I wanted to say? I think once again, Windshire shows his humbleness to the RFL. I think of like me personally, I have a pretty big ego. Shav has a huge ego. Honor, you have a huge. There's a lot of players in the RFL that would not have done what Windshire did. We don't go to the chat box or to the forums to apologize. We go there to bitch and to brag. And I think it's cool that we have a player like Windshire that's really like just humble and honest. I think it just adds another flavor and character to the RFL. I like it personally. I don't think I would have ever done it, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, and you guys are going to really have to help me out with this. Shavray posted a retirement plan for the RFL. For me, it was kind of too long, so I just skipped like to the middle, and I didn't understand anything. But I get the gist of it. Basically, recently, Tilt, I know Cookie's done it in the past. Players retire. They announce their retirement. 2-3 games into the season, they come back into the RFL, and everyone's like, what the fuck? This guy skipped out on the free agency, skipped out on the draft. Now it's like, what's the deal with that? So Shavray posted a plan to fix the retirement problem that seems to be occurring in the RFL. What are your thoughts on this, Honor? And then go ahead, Dark.
Well, this thing was so complicated, I didn't really understand it, and it was just passed, and I was like, whatever. That was really how it was. It's one of these Shavray's posts where he makes some intensely complicated posts. Same thing with Gaz. Gaz does that sometimes as well. And it's just like overly retarded. And I'm just like, I don't really care enough to read this all.
Yeah.
So I just let it go. It was passed.
Well, do you think that do you believe personally, no bias, no bipartisan, or very bipartisan, don't have any, favoritism, do you believe that the retirement problem where people drop out, at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, then come back 2 games later, do you feel that that's a concern or a problem that needs to be addressed by the council or the RFL?
It's only a problem when people purposely do it for means of like stacking, or people purposely do it to get on a certain team. For example, if someone retires and dodges the draft so they can get on the team of their choice, then obviously we need to stop that. But like, if you actually retire and then special situations arise and you somehow get back into it, then it's not bullshit. For example, Tilt's a perfect situation.
Right.
Tilt was actually retired. Like, he wasn't planning on coming back. But then all of a sudden, Jagex comes out with RSO7. Like, obviously, Tilt didn't expect this to happen. Nobody expected this to happen.
There's still an honor system that needs.
Nobody expected Tilt to get really intense into RSO7 and then really crave money.
Okay.
Like you can't. It's not like this is a normal situation. And Tilt.
Well, that's why I believe there needs to be a standard. There needs to be a standard that people follow, man.
Yeah.
Well,
my thoughts though are, Chav's obviously his diagram was basically incomprehensible, but what I got out of this basically you have to wait a whole season, and then you can reapply. No special situations and all that kind of stuff. But basically, it is an issue. I mean, because it's happened in the past. And the reason why Honor was smiling when Azir was talking about it was because Honor is the #1 culprit of this as a former owner. That used to be his way of getting his team together, was just having people dodge the draft. So, I mean, I agree with Azir. There needs to be like an honor system. I mean, I understand, okay, you could have second thoughts about retiring when you come back, but, I mean, you have to wait out that season. It's just fair to everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's why I said you can't have the bullshit, but if special situations arise, you can't really, it's like whatever.
That's something that's not going to happen again. Okay, they're not going to come up with a whole new game again, and then they're not going to have Tilt happen to be like the top ranked player in the game.
And also, you gotta understand, Tilt didn't, it's not like Tilt specifically decided that he wanted to go to Tyrus. I mean, its only reason he went to Tyrus is because of money, not for purpose of like stacking. Like, if somebody came up to Tilt before us and offered the same amount, Tilt would have probably said yes.
Definitely.
So it's like,
the bottom line is that there's no system in place right now to stop people. People could retire tomorrow and then unretire. It's really ridiculous. I've seen it happens all the time, and there needs to be a system to establish when you can retire, how you have to go about retiring.
That's why I passed it.
I personally, yeah, definitely. I think it's going to benefit the system, and even if it's not the best plan right now, some plan is better than no plan. So, wrapping things up, the last topic I want to go into, we're looking at the league standings. There's only one team that hasn't won a game yet. Of course, that's my hometown. That's the RFL. What's wrong with their system? We know that their defense needs some work. We know that they can put up some points. We know that KFC is still imminent. What's going on with that team? Why is it that in the first half of the season they can't get it together, and then by the time second half of the season comes around, they're in the playoffs? So what's going on in Varrock?
Azu, you're in luck. We actually have an expert on the Varrock Rams here, Mr. Darklink 1000. So I'm going to hand it to him to explain to you what's going on.
Alright. Well, basically what this needs to happen is there needs to be some sort of mix and match. You got to start just trying things. That could mean James moving full-time to cornerback or moving to safety instead of defensive end. That could mean bringing in a new player to start on defense. Because what's happening right now is not working. And, I mean, another thing that would really help is, as you mentioned, you lock down in that trade down defense like you used to, the team's defense is going to just increase by such a level of intensity that I can't even put it into words, because you just used to be like the man at trade defense. You got to get back to that man. I'm really glad you guys are starting to try to get some players in there, because I mean, #1, you're already below the 5-man limit right now. So if you just bring someone in there and just say, all right, we need you to play some defense, have them focus on defense for like a week, I think you guys can get better, because the offense, you guys are playing offense at the league standard, if not above it right now. It's just you gotta lock down on those tackling, and you gotta lock down on the run defense right now.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. How do you feel about KFC being drafted as the first pick for Varrock right now? We're going into the 4th game of the season. He hasn't made a guest appearance yet. The unofficial word is that he's still waiting on internet access for his new house. So, do you think that Varrock made the right move, picking him up in the first round? Was there a better option to go for? I know Honor's pressing the buzzer button here in Jeopardy, so I'll let him go ahead and fill it in.
You're also in luck, Mr. Azu, because we also have another expert on KFC, and I'm going to pass it to Dark because he knows everything about KFC, and he's going to say that regardless of him having internet or not, he should not have been that pick. So, Dark, I'll give it to you.
Well, even though KFC has shown improvement over the past 3 seasons, if he was completely active, I don't see him getting drafted anything higher than mid-level 2nd round as a fully active player. I know James is playing it safe, but if he got like a big centerpiece first pick, it really would help you guys out. I mean, Azu's got to work in the KFC's got to work in the running as a QB, so that's definitely a factor. You cannot have a non-full-rounded player as your first pick. Passing, he's fine. He's fine at passing, but the running's just like he's top 5 worst runner in the RFL. Right now, it's not working out, but I mean, I can't blame KFC. I mean, it's out of cancer. But clearly, I mean, they should have gone with something else, because they could have gotten him in the 2nd or 3rd round, especially because everyone knew that he was probably not going to play this season.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have to cut it short here. I don't want the video to be too long for the pilot episode. Thank you guys for tuning in to Ozzy's 106 and Park. Honor Guards 106 and Park, whatever, we come up with a name. If you guys like the video, please like and share, subscribe. Be sure to leave your comments in the YouTube chat box as well as on the RFL website. Thank you, and we will see you guys again next week.
One more thing, Shav's gay.